Hey everybody! So today we're going to construct this pattern from the Alcazar in Seville, Spain. You can find this beautiful pattern on David Wade's website, Pattern in Islamic Art, which is where I got the reference for it. And you can find a step-by-step PDF to construct this pattern on my Patreon, which I will link in the video description. So let's get into it. We're using GeoGebra Classic 5, which you can download at GeoGebra website. And I'm going to start this one a little bit differently than I normally do. So normally I start by creating 2 points that are horizontally next to each other, but this time we're going to make 2 points that are vertically next to each other. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to start with A at 0, 0, like I usually do, but instead of making B at 1, 0, I'm going to make B at 0, 1. And let me show labels for my points so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got these 2 points vertically next to each other, and I'm going to grab my regular polygon tool and I'm going to click on A, then B, and I want a hexagon because that is what the basis of this pattern is a hexagonal tile. So let's make this have 0 opacity. And this next step is a little interesting. So this pattern isn't based on circle packing or polygons like a lot of the patterns that I construct. It's based on 1/3 of the side width of this hexagon. So I've got points A, B, C, D, E, F. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make G be 1/3 of the distance of the length of side AB. Okay, so that's just a number, and AB is the distance between A and B. And then I'm going to use my circle with center and radius to pick center A and radius G. And so now I've got a circle that is 1/3 of the side length AB. So that's a fun new little trick. So then we're going to grab our intersect tool, and I'm going to copy this circle a couple of times with my compass tool to center H, and also, wait, is that what I want? Center B. No, I don't actually want it at center H. I want it at the midpoint. So let's put in the midpoint between A and B. And let me grab my compass tool again. And there we go. So now I've got a new midpoint center here. Okay, so I need a couple more points. And I want the center point of my hexagon here. So I'm going to put in a few lines here so I can get that center. And I'm going to put in this line. And then I also want lines parallel to that go through J and H. So I could use my perpendicular line tool for that or my parallel line tool for that. I'm going to use my parallel line tool. So that gives us that. And I'm grabbing my intersect tool and I'm going to put in point L here. Just so this matches my tutorial, I'm going to rename my center point O, because I like my center of my pattern to be O for origin. Okay, moving along. We want to reflect these 3 lines over OA. I'm going to control click them and select A. And then let's also put in OF. And I want to reflect these 3 lines. I'm control clicking them and then clicking OF. Okay. And then I want to use my perpendicular line tool to put why isn't this working? Let's try that. Oh, I was on perpendicular bisector rather than perpendicular line. That explains why. All right, so we want a vertical line here through point L. And then I want to reflect this over OA and then again over OF. So we've got that. And now I want, I do want my perpendicular bisector tool, and I want to put in a perpendicular bisector between L and I. And I'm going to do the same thing, reflect it over OA and then reflect it over OF. And I want this point here what did I just do? I think I just created like too many lines. Let me fix that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was grabbing the wrong tool, intersect tool. There we go. Now I've got that point that I want. And I want to bisect this angle. So I'm going to grab my angle bisector tool. Okay. And let's maybe make that angle bisector like a different color or something so that it stands out a little bit. And what I want to do is I want to take these channel lines and reflect them over that angle bisector. So reflective outline tool, I'm going to control click those and I want to reflect over like that. And I want those all the way around also. So I'm going to reflect these here. And where else do I need them? I need them here. So I'm going to reflect these here. So we've got those channel lines now 12-fold all the way around. Okay. Now I want this point next to A. So that's going to be point M. And I want a horizontal line through M. So let's use our perpendicular line tool to get that horizontal line through M. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Sorry about that. All right. Let's go ahead and put in our kite here. So I want this point, this point, this point, oops, and that point. And I want my polygon tool. And I can put in my kite. And we can also go ahead and put in this triangle. Let me make sure that point is defined correctly. Yeah, just wanted to make sure. Okay, Now let's put in this line. Somehow my labeling got a little off from my PDF, so if you're following along with that, I apologize. L and K are swapped for whatever reason. I guess maybe I constructed them in opposite order before, but everything else should match. Okay, so we've got that one in, and now I want this point, and I want to put in an angle bisector here, and maybe I'll make that pink so it stands out. I always like to make angle bisectors a different color for whatever reason. All right, let's zoom in here so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So we want this point, and then I want a line through this point that's perpendicular to this line. So we're going to grab our perpendicular line tool and do this. And I want this point and this point. And then we're going to reflect these 3 points here. We're going to put in this line. So I'm trying to make an 8-pointed star here without doing too many steps, just constructing the points. So we want, let's see, these 3 points reflected over this line. And then, which ones am I still missing? I think these reflected over here. Cool. So now we can put in, with our polygon tool, this 8-pointed star. If you have to do that point by point for it to make sense to you, that's fine. I like to do things all at once. All right. So then we've got our 8-pointed star. Now we're going to move back over here. And I want this point right here, and I want to reflect that point here. And I also want to reflect these 2 points here. So now we're going to make a 6-pointed star. This point, and reflect that here. And let's see, I think I need these 3 points reflected here. And oh, I need this one. And I think that gives us all we need for our 6-pointed star. So I'm using the polygon tool. Okay. Let's go ahead and make a sequence of our kite. So I want sequence, rotate the name of my kite by pi I over 6 about O, where I varies from 0 to 11. And the name of my kite is Q1. And then, because this isn't, has like a right-handed and a left-handed version, I'm only going to rotate this 6 times around and then reflect it. So I'm going to do the same thing, but for T1. So I want sequence, rotate, T1 by pi I over 3 this time, about O, where I varies from 0 to 5. And I'm going to take that and reflect it over one of those lines. So that gives me all the central stuff. Let's see, let me kind of hide some things. I've got a lot going on here. Okay. So then we want a sequence of our 2-star polygons. So these are poly 2 and poly 3. So sequence, rotate, poly 2, poly 3 by pi I over 3 about O, where I varies from 0 to 5. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I want to take that sequence and reflect it over, oops. Let's take all of those sequences actually. Yeah, okay. So rather than use the reflect outline tool, let's use a command. So I want to reflect M1, M2, M2 prime, and M3 about what is the name of this line? This is T prime. So let's try that again. T prime. Cool. Now that's just, the reason I did it that way is so that we have just a single object here. This is all linked together. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that object and rotate it around center point O. And actually, I don't need that sequence anymore, M3. So this is L1. So I want to type sequence, rotate L1 by pi I over 3 about O, where I varies from 0 to 5. And you can keep going with this. You can expand it kind of as much as you want. But I'm going to stop here, hide my lines, hide my conics. Numbers are hidden, points go away. Hide these polygons, hide my quadrilateral, hide my triangle, and I'm just going to make it a little thicker and black. And so there we go. Also, don't forget to save your work. Do as I say, not as I do, because I'm really bad about saving things. But I don't need to save it because I've already constructed this before. But you should definitely save your work early and often. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, visit my Patreon for lots more tutorials, step-by-step PDFs and videos. All right, thanks so much.